I am not buying the new M4 iPad Pro. Why would I want the iPad Pro? It's remained largely unchanged for the past 10 years, not to mention the fact that I have the Apple Vision Pro, which allows me to do iPad Pro-like things much easier, in my opinion. Uh-oh. Oh my. Ooh. This cannot be the iPad that I just said I was not going to buy. Whew. Yep, it is. What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech, back again for the video. And yes, I know I just said that I would not buy this iPad Pro. I don't need it. It's the same iPad that we've been using for a while now. So why? Why did I go ahead and go back on my word and buy the new M4 iPad Pro? For starters, I did pick up the 13-inch M4 iPad Pro, and I did so because I had a recent conversation with a few of my friends in my Creator Coffee Talk Twitter spaces, and one of them had said to me that, hey, if you want to buy it, just go buy it. And I also thought about what could be coming down the pipe here in a couple of weeks at WWDC. Apple did talk about new Final Cut Pro features with the inclusion of AI. And I know for a fact we can pay attention to history to realize that if there are going to be AI-like features coming to the newest Apple devices later this year, they will be hardware locked, which means if anything like that were to come to the iPad, the M4 iPad will be the only iPad capable and able to take advantage of any AI features. So I also brought it for future-proofing purposes. Even though technically I didn't need it, I had the M2 iPad Pro. Speaking of my M2 iPad Pro, I was able to trade it in for a decent amount of money, which is another reason why I went ahead and I purchased the M4 iPad Pro. So now that I have the M4 iPad Pro, you're probably thinking, Viper, how is it? Because that's the question I've been getting since I told people online that I have the M4 iPad Pro. Well, I mean, it's pretty much everything that I thought it would be. It's an iPad. It's just beefier and faster. Actually, I take that back. It's not beefier. It's thinner. But if you're trying to compare it to previous iPads, especially the M2 iPad Pro, which I just had, it's not that much thinner. But the thinness does allow for you to maybe transport it a little bit easier. But one of the bigger effects of it being thinner is the fact that you can easily hold it in your hand now, either one-handed like this or two hands like this, and you can hold it more comfortably for a longer period of time. So this comes into play if you're doing like me and you're browsing the web, maybe you're browsing social media, or you're watching media and maybe you don't have the new Magic Keyboard. This iPad thinness does allow you to hold it more comfortably for a longer period of time. So it just makes things that much easier whether you're holding like this, landscape, or you want to turn it portrait, or whatever the case may be. Other than that, I don't know why people are going gaga over the thinness, unless it's just one of the things that I previously highlighted, but I don't think that makes that big of a difference because the iPad wasn't really fat in the first place. They were already thin. But again, these new iPads and their thinness do have some benefits, so kudos to Apple. Speaking of the M4 chip, it is snappy AF. It's noticeable over my M2 iPad Pro. Before I brought the M4, I sat down with my M2 and I used it as I normally would. And I asked myself, Viper, if you go out and you buy the M4 iPad Pro, are you going to use it any differently than you're using the M2 iPad Pro? And I when I thought about it, I'm like, no, not really. But again, I brought it for other reasons. I made the cardinal sin that we tell tech people not to do. I brought it for what it might do in the future as opposed to what it can do right now. I don't do any video or editing or anything like that on it because it's more cumbersome. Because I have an M3 MacBook Pro that I do all my heavy lifting on, it's just easier for me to do that more involved, detailed stuff on the MacBook as opposed to the iPad Pro. But again, it's always nice to have the iPad. I told you guys I do have the Vision Pro, but sometimes I don't always feel like using it because it requires me to put my contacts in. And with the iPad, I don't have to worry about that because I can hold it at whatever distance is comfortable to my eyesight, and it's easier to use in that regard. But the M4 processing it's cool. It's nice. I think it's going to come to play more, especially after Apple announces whatever they will at WWDC. So look forward to what they will include with iPadOS 18. But again, are you going to notice any performance differences in day-to-day use as opposed to your M2 or even your M1 iPad Pro? Nah, not really. However, something that you might notice is the new OLED display for iPad Pro. This is Apple's Tandem OLED, as they're calling it. And if you are a big OLED fiend like I am, you can appreciate those deep black. And when you're watching movies, especially with darker environments, you will definitely come to appreciate that Tandem OLED display. But shout out to Erica Griffin, the technology nerd that likes to film stuff. She talks about screen display issues and things like that. And I will be remiss if I don't highlight that on my iPad Pro, I have noticed a yellow tint in the display. Now, this is really only noticeable when I'm looking at it on like a white background. I thought maybe I had left True Tone on because I'm not a big fan of leaving True Tone on. But when I went to check into my settings, I did indeed have True Tone off. But the display still looks like it has a yellowish tint. It's mildly annoying. It's not really enough for me to return it and replace. But it is something that I wanted to highlight because it seems like other people, including Erica Griffin, have documented this in their experiences with their M4 iPad Pro. So it's definitely something that you should look out for should you choose to buy this new iPad Pro. But other than that, I've been enjoying using it. Like I said, it's snappy AF, breezing through apps, opens them instantaneously, split screens, stage manager, all of the things. I also appreciate the fact that Apple has relocated the camera to where it should be on the horizontal landscape. Finally, thank you, Apple. Instead of putting it in the portrait orientation, they put it in the landscape orientation. You're not having that awkward angle there when you're trying to do video calls on the iPad Pro. So we definitely appreciate that. I also picked up the Magic Keyboard with this iPad Pro. And if I can unplug it, I can show you guys here the Magic Keyboard. And it looks good. It's cool. It's more premium than the ones of the past. And as you can see, it has some my finger oils on it and different things like that. But I like the feel of the keys. The keys feel better. People have been talking about the Magic Trackpad having haptic feedback. I haven't really noticed it too much, but I do like the feel of the keyboard. And it does seem like it does have a little bit more viewing angle. I mean, it's nothing major, but it's there. I would wish that Apple would allow the previous Magic Keyboard to work, but as I highlighted earlier in the video, sometimes Apple does this thing where they make previous older hardware obsolete and you have to buy new things for the new hardware. And in this case, if you have an M4 iPad Pro, you have to buy the new Magic Keyboard. And the Magic Keyboard is such an amazing accessory to have with your iPad Pro. So I brought it and I like it and it's good to go. The other cool thing about this iPad Pro is that the way it's situated on this Magic Keyboard, you get full access to every row of keys. And the reason why this is so important is because the new Magic Keyboard includes a function row of keys. So now I can change the brightness, I can turn up the volume up and down, I can lock the iPad, I can do all that from the keyboard, and I don't have to touch the actual device to do that stuff. So having that extra room is pretty awesome. Being able to do that on the keyboard is definitely legit. But this has just been my 24 hours with the iPad. So after the first 24 hours with it, should you buy it? Not really. I wouldn't rush out to buy an M4 iPad Pro, especially if you have an M2. I mean, even if you have an M1, I think you're good to go for another year or so. What I will say, though, is that if you are considering getting one of these M4 iPad Pros, wait until after WWDC. Then we can find out what Apple is going to bring to the table with iPadOS 18. Maybe they'll bring some M4 only features that will make you want to rush out and buy these new iPads. But before then, I wouldn't recommend it. I did it because I'm the man about tech. I'm the captain of Team Apple. I'm a tech nerd. This is what I do. There's no hope for me, but I make these videos so you don't fall into the same trap that I fall into. Do as I say, not as I do. But if you want to see my thoughts on the ad that accompanied the arrival of the new iPads, check out that video right there because it had a lot of controversy around it, which I did not understand.